We begin this morning with the decision to hand millions of Australia's lowest paid workers a pay rise. Unions are welcoming the 3.75% increase to the minimum wage. That's a jump of about $33 a week.
And although the Fair Work Commission claims it will have a limited effect on the broader economy, business groups aren't happy. Let's go straight to Steph Ferrier. Good morning to you, Steph. Can you break down the decision for us?
Good morning, Lisa. Yes, this increase is actually lower than the Fair Work Commission increase last year, which was 8.65%. But this is the first time in 3 years that it's actually exceeded inflation. So that means that we're going to actually see a slight increase in real wages for around 2.6 million Australians. And when you take into account the flow-on effects for award wages, that represents about 25% of Australia's workforce. Now, this means that we're going to see the new minimum wage of $24.10 per hour. That's, as you say, about $33 a week increase, up to just over $900 per week. And these changes are going to take effect from July 1. And the ACTU says, of course, that's the same time that we're going to see those tax cuts kick in as well. They had actually argued for an increase of 5% to the minimum wage. However, Sally McManus, the Secretary, says that any day where we see a real increase in wages is a good day for workers, their families and also the broader economy. And she's calling this a win. However, we have heard from employer groups and many are saying that already businesses are operating in extremely tough operating conditions, and particularly for those small businesses, they're going to have to potentially work out just how they can potentially pass on these costs or to cut jobs. The Australian Chamber of Commerce and Industry is actually saying that this is causing a real test for businesses and it way exceeds the RBA's inflation target range. So we've heard from the Commission. They've already said that they came up with this decision as a result of those increased living costs and also workforce participation. And they've also noted that, in fact, the real wages or the real minimum wage in real terms is actually lower than what it was 5 years ago. So we're going to hear from other people out there. Later in the show, we're actually going to hear from the Small Business Council, and also I'll be heading out and about to try and speak to some people about how this is going to affect them.
We'll cover all sides of the debate here. Steph, thank you.
A record-breaking crowd has packed out Sydney's Olympic Stadium to watch the mighty Matildas defeat China 2-0 in their final hit-out on home soil before Paris. For more, our reporter Jessica Rendell joins us now. Jess, good morning. The atmosphere looked pretty good last night, but there was also a really emotional moment as well.
Indeed, James. I imagine it would have been quite the emotional roller coaster here at Stadium Australia last night, and I wish I was here to experience it, but that would have meant fighting 76,798 people to try and get tickets, because that was the record-breaking number of fans that turned out here last night to watch the Matildas take on China, making it their biggest home crowd in history. Now, in terms of the scoring side, the Matildas did deliver results for that record-breaking number of fans, defeating China 2-0. However, some say the score could have been higher. There were several moments there where Hayley Rasso or Ellie Carpenter crossed the ball into position in front of the goal, but their teammates struggled to finish off those plays and score. But last night was not about the results. There was an emotional farewell for legendary goalkeeper Lydia Williams. She will be hanging up her gloves after the Paris Olympic Games. And so last night there was a beautiful ceremony before the game. She was joined by iconic fellow Indigenous sporting legend Yvonne Goolagong-Cawley, who gifted Williams with a beautiful kangaroo skin cloak that was burned with the story of Lydia Williams's life and her family too. Now, Williams also gave a beautiful speech, and I can tell you there probably wouldn't have been a dry eye in the house after that speech before she took to the field to play her 104th match as a Matilda. So an iconic and legendary career for Lydia Williams there, but she will be heading to Paris soon, and hopefully Coach Tony Gustafsson, all eyes will be on him this morning as he is expected to announce that squad for the Paris Olympic Games later this year, James.
All right, Jess, thank you.
And what fantastic timing that we're going to be speaking later in the program to the women behind this amazing Matildas documentary that is screening at the moment called Trailblazers.
Yeah, it traces the Matildas' journey from a time when, well, they were initially banned from playing, then they had to overcome all sorts of adversity to actually get on the pitch. And of course now the Matildas are where they're at. It was actually a lovely moment. I mean, Jess mentioned it, but when
with Lydia
went off the field last night, what a way to say goodbye to a home crowd.
Yeah, exactly. And so let's hope that her final games in Paris are winning ones.
Gold medal.
Exciting. Let's have a look at what's happening with the rest of the news today. And the New South Wales government is setting up a special unit to prosecute the new offence of industrial manslaughter. New laws going to Parliament will carry sentences of up to 25 years for individuals and fines of $20 million for companies. New South Wales is the last mainland state to introduce an industrial manslaughter offence. The Immigration Minister has conceded he was incorrect in claiming drones were being used to monitor people recently released from detention. Andrew Giles had previously claimed the technology was being used to monitor some of the more than 150 people released after a High Court ruling. After days of questioning and stonewalling by the government, he's now said that was wrong.
The peak body of Aboriginal organisations in the Northern Territory is calling for apologies from the NT Police Minister and Police Commissioner over the handling of racism allegations in the force. Commissioner Michael Murphy told the coronial inquest into the death of Kumanjai Walker that he didn't order an investigation into allegations of racist behaviour among elite police officers because he was busy, which he said was regrettable. Police Minister Brent Potter has also stated that he believes there is no systemic racism in the police force, which the Aboriginal peak organisations of the NT has labelled unacceptable. Counting is due to start in India's general election after 642 million people cast their votes. Rolling heat waves across the country haven't deterred voters, with turnout reaching 66%. Most Indians are anticipating Narendra Modi to win a third term.
New research suggests Gen Zs and young millennials are increasingly delaying plans to have children because of the cost of living crisis. Political research group Redbridge found 54% of people aged between 18 and 34 are delaying having children because of economic conditions. We'll talk more about this later in the program.
A fossil skull unearthed at Lake Callabonna in South Australia's remote northeast is believed to be that of a giant goose. It was found in 2019 by a team from the Flinders University Paleontology Lab. The flightless species, referred to as a Giga Goose, is believed to have weighed in at 250 kilograms and lived about 45,000 years ago.
Let's have a quick look at the global markets. The Aussie futures heading down, a bit of a drop on the Dow. The Aussie dollar up ever so slightly at 66.8 US cents. Gold up and oil down.
And a hungry koala has been caught green-handed yet again, targeting the same nursery on the north coast of New South Wales. Claude, the leaf thief, as he's become known, has developed quite the taste for the young eucalyptus seedlings at Eastern Forest Nursery in South Gundarimba. He first made international headlines in September last year, and despite the installation of not just one, but 3 new fences, it seems Claude cannot be stopped. There you go. Thank you for resisting the temptation to call me a Giga Goose or some sort of variation thereof.